I says I've got hundreds of topics to speak about and a half, and I'm not lingering on them too long. This next one's about Martin Scorsese's next movie, The Killers of the Flower Moon. I had to look at it there, right in front of me, because I'd already forgot the title. I don't know why it's a very unique named movie, let's be honest. But look, the writer, Eric Roth, has been out speaking about this movie. We know very little about it. We just know that it's set in a sort of Indian... Is it a reserve? Is that what you call it? The Native American territories over in the United States and just North America in general. It's set within that. There's some authorities trying to steal oil from out with their feet. We've got lots of corruption, criminality, budding FBI in there, and a great cast. Robert De Niro's in there. We've got Leonardo DiCaprio. We've got Jesse Plemons. Fantastic, stacked to the absolute pack to the rafters, I should say. Cast, and a truly great mind in Martin Scorsese, one of the all-time great directors. And by all accounts, this Eric Roth guy, whose name seems familiar, but I'd have to see his face to see if it's the same guy I'm thinking about. He's been out speaking and he's been praising it to the absolute heavens, man. He has had this to say. He says, I think this is my 5th or 6th year on it. I'm going to try and catch it again. And there was some changes that came about that were interesting. My iPad nearly packed up there. It was interesting. He says it nearly came about that were interesting about what Leonardo was going to play in it. He says, I think in the long run we all had our moments of trying to figure out how best to portray things, because this story, I've screwed it, man. I've not even got the fucking quote up. What a shambles. I'm supposed to have that quote up there, man, to read it, so that if people can't understand me, they can at least see why I'm pronouncing words the way I'm pronouncing them with it on the screen. So there you go, it's on the screen now. To figure out how to best portray things and to make the story so impactful, I think we ended up with exactly the right material, and what Marty made the right... I have. I'm just paranoid there. I was looking at the OBS and it had me a wee bit worried there for a second. Right decision, blah blah blah, he's going to make. Obviously I would say this, but I think all my work, this one would be one of the great movies. I mean, I think it has all the ingredients, which I don't want to jinx, but the story is so important. It is important, man. It's almost like your man from Hell or High Water, and that it's a borderline neo-western, that's the word I'm looking for. And it's going to explore some interesting societal issues within it, some racial issues as well. He's got another quote down here which I'll get into, just exploring the violence against these individuals that transpired in the 1920s, 30s, and the fact that they couldn't get justice. And you'll see it in this quote. I'm pretty sure he's saying it's against Native Americans. If it isn't, then I do apologise sincerely. I'm talking absolute shit. But here's what he's had to say. I mean, people will be in suits and things because it's 1921. It's during the Prohibition, but the ethos is, I think, very Western. And also, I think Western justice about how they couldn't find 12 white men to convict to convict a white man of killing a Native American. You'd have a better chance of having them convicted of kicking a dog, and that's the kind of feeling on that. You have these incredible people, the Osage family, that a character comes and marries into, and who's a villain and who isn't, and then into that comes a kind of heroic guy, Tom White, his name is, who Jesse Plemons is playing, who was in the Texas Rangers, and you couldn't get more Western than that. He goes on to speak about Leo, his part, how it's very complicated, how Jesse isn't in a sense playing the out and out leading role, he's just playing the designated hero, and that we've got some interesting stuff going on here. We've got realism, we've got rich historical story here, some truly stupendous talent acting it out, a very unique story that's evolved and nuanced and it's changed as faces have come in and out. I'm very excited about this movie, man. As I keep saying, I always forget the name of this guy, man. I always forget his goddamn name. Hell or High Water. What is he called? Hell or High Water. His name is Taylor Sheridan, a great writer, a great modern day writer, a guy who balances the action on the screen with deep, meaningful scripts and themes. It looks as though we're going to get that in this movie, and it's the correct setting for it. I don't think we've really explored the sort of racial injustice against Native Americans on screen very many times. We've seen it with the black community, we've seen it with Asian communities to a lesser extent. Never really seen it against the Native Americans, so the script is right. We've got a great man in charge of it, and Martin Scorsese. We've got a great cast that will act it out with authenticity, who will have fucking Oscar buzz coming out of every orifice in their body. If it's as good as this Eric Roth suggests it is, and by all accounts, man, Scorsese doesn't really make a bad movie, does he? So I would assume there is some justification in him praising it to high heavens. And this is going on a streaming service. This is going straight to Apple TV Plus, so it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out, how that will impact eyeballs getting to it. How will that impact on the actual success of it? Obviously the award ceremonies and the actual pinnacle of that in the Oscars. I'm excited about it, man. I'm happy to see there's people praising it. I'm happy to see Jesse Plemons front and centre in this as well, getting some real meaty roles to act out, and he's not just a supporting character actor in this, he's a designated hero. He's going to be alongside some rich talent, as ever. This guy's in every good movie that's been made in the last 10 years. Let's be honest, that's hyperbolic, but it's actually true as well. And on that note, man, I'm going to move on to